Alrighty. Well, I saw a video made by someone not so long ago, and some of you may know of him as a truck driver who is the nephew of a complete idiot. And it was basically about RV living. And he talked a bit about his experience as a truck driver and whatnot. And how in the sleeper cab areas of trucks, some of these more modern ones, like the one he's driving, I don't know how many you've seen inside them or anything. I've actually just seen a video demonstration of how they all work. A lot of them actually, they're fairly tall. They actually have dual beds, one bed above the other. And some of the fancier ones have a little microwave area and a little bench that you can write stuff on or sit your food on as you cook it in your microwave. And you know, a lot of them have like a little freezer, even if it's only a little chest freezer or something like that. Now, he says that compared to RVs, he literally only has about a quarter of the space. And he was saying something that he was basically dispelling the dream of living in an RV. Everybody, oh, well, I can get a van or like an actual RV or something like that, and I can live inside this thing and got a few burps trying to come up, and there's all like the beautiful bullshit myth story, and I've seen the same with off-grid. You got people who got some lovely little thing made out of stone or cob or something, and they get all the views, and you look at some of these ones and how long their channel's been going, and you're like, there's no way in hell they could have got these views without serious optimization, tinkering of, search result optimization and shit like that. But a lot of these ones that you see, they're all, it's like something you'd see in a fucking catalogue. It's, it might be real, but my gosh, they've got the expensive way of doing it. They've got the picture perfect fucking catalogue version of doing it, and it all looks nice, but what's the price tag again? And you look at some of these people and they look like they just fell out of the middle of an upper class suburb, It's like, fucking what? It's not, it's the same sometimes with a lot of this RV stuff and all this, While I get to live my life just rolling around the United States or wherever, in this van or this RV or whatever the fuck, and my life's fully sorted and blah 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 blah, and there's this nice picture painted, but all the other stuff is just sort of like just ignored. Any of the problems ignored. You got this lovely looking, all the videos are edited and everything's all fucking. Oh well, we get to see this lovely sunrise and go hiking and do this and that and blah 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 blah, and my life's so fucking perfect, and it's all just a load of bullshit. It's like this. It's a magazine life. It's like something you'd see in a glossy magazine or a Mercedes-Benz brochure or something. It's not really all there, It's all conveniently missed out any. Hard stuff, and it's one of these ones that, oh, well, we can do it like it. Yeah, if you got shitloads of money, you can. The funniest thing of all, I'm going to talk a little bit about what he said about RVs and that, and I'll talk also how some of these things compare with off-grid and whatnot as well. But yeah, the funniest thing of all is these bloody videos they make on how they earn money. Have you ever actually looked at some of these videos? You know, you got some nice hot young lass or some, you know, guy, some couple or whatever, and you know, they got the soy boy and the blonde type thing, you know, and it all looks all picture perfect and all that. But there's one young lass who seems to have what appears to me to be a German accent. You know, and I saw a video on her the other day, and it went through step by step all her, you know, 5 ways I make income with this life. And now, first of all, I'd like to point out that there's another one in New South Wales, off-grid someone or another, who is also living the van life, who bought a van, too daft to even realise that it had a problem when he bought it, spent nearly the entire price of the van again getting new diesel injectors in this particular engine that's known to shit the diesel injectors, and it doesn't cost a great deal, but if you've got a lot of time, you can do it. In fact, he paid $7,700 because instead of going to a mechanic, he went to a dealership. The actual Ford dealership. Like a dickhead, he went to the Ford dealership. And people in the comments would say, you know, $500 for the parts and time, and, you know, other people saying, well, I could actually have done that job for you for $1,000, and you wouldn't have even had to touch a spanner, you know, and this idiot paid $7,700. Oh, well, my adventure's been delayed a bit, and I'm not going to be Mr. Off-Grid blah blah, like he calls himself, and this is, and here he is. Off-Grid, alright. Living in the suburbs of a very large regional town, on grid, with a van that has cost him double what he thought it was, and all he's still got is a bare cargo van, and he's completely shot his savings and a lot of the money that he was going to spend when he was out on the road. My gosh. Back to the point, if you go looking at some of these people talking about the money they earn, well, I've got AdSense money. Yes. 65 cents US per 1,000 views. How fucking far is that going to get you? Over here in Australia, it wouldn't even cover your damn internet bill. At all. Hell, it wouldn't even cover your phone bill if most of your internet was leached off free Wi-Fi. It's nothing, you know. Oh, well, I might also do a bit of this or a bit of that or a bit of freelance whatever. Freelance photography for this young lass. Well, I've seen one guy who, he does freelance photography, but he's like freelance photography, videography, and he was doing that before he even went and lived in a van. Like for 3 years or 5 years or something, and then he went and lived in a van. He's got contacts everywhere. He's got people that bring him up and get him to come out and do stuff. He's got references a mile long and a whole list of achievements behind. But you get these other ones. Oh, well, I might do a little bit of this, or I might do a little bit of that, or maybe I could work at a labour hire place, but they never will. Oh, well, this, well, that, well, oh, well, if you want to see extra tidbits. And some of these girls, you wonder, did I hear tidbits or did I hear tits? You know. Then pay money into my Patreon. At the end of the day, it's begging and perverted little puppy dogs that like to see her with extra videos with Patreon. And other people who can't work out how to run a search on YouTube because, well, why pay to see shit that any other YouTuber will just put up for free, you know. Anyway, a lot of them, they don't have a damn income. Not a real one. Hell no. Not anything that's going to put fuel in the van, food on the table, and frickin' keep their phone connected and keep the internet bill paid. Oh, hell no. But this is the thing, you know, it's all, you know. Anyway. What's the other one I was going to say? Yeah, there's all the gloriousness of it, you know. But it's all, you know, we did this and we done that and oh, it's amazing and this and that and da-da-da-da-da and there's never any show of any breakdowns, of any screw-ups, of any complications. And another thing that I've heard one guy living in a van mention, that he said he is sick of, like he made a video on it, and he said he thinks it's a falsehood, all these videos out there about van life, because they never mention this. And it's the exact same thing you face off grid. It's that because you're living in a van and the same off grid, things are a lot slower to do. Now, for example, in a van, there's a lot of people who have a sink or they don't have a sink and they just got a little wash-up tub thing. Everything is a real pain in the arse to do because there ain't no dishwasher. There isn't a sink that's really big enough to wash dishes in. It's all very slow and laborious, and it's a bit of a drag out. It's a bit like getting heat here. You know, here I am sitting there with wood down there and all here and everything like that. It's, you know, you've got the heat, you've just got to go and actually, you know, stuff around and get the matches out and do stuff. And you can't just hit the button, you know, and they tend to realise that with a van, everything where you're just so unbelievably cramped. You're either unpacking something or repacking stuff in, and then you've got all these wet clothes, so you've got to either pay money for a dryer or find a way to hang them up. You've got no room to hang them in the van, or, you know, like, there's days there where it starts raining, you're stuck in that damn van with not enough space to swing a cat, but there's nothing you can do because it's raining, you know. It's really, there's another person who has lived in vans for years has said it's really more an outdoor life in a van, because you've got to have good weather to live in a van, because it's boring as hell just sitting in the blasted passenger seat or the driver's seat for a day or two, you know, because you just, and everything you go to do is so compacted, so tight, so small, so minimalistic, that this minimalisation will slow you up the same way that the aspects of off-grid slow you up by everything. You know, I got a strange thing here that I got brilliant heat in some rooms, but not in all of them. And, you know, I'll sit there, boil the kettle. You know, I've got a hot water system, but it doesn't produce bugger all. Okay, I must admit it's not. It's only connected to the shower, and also it's stuck on a set temperature, which means it's too hot in the summer and nowhere near warm enough in the winter or even the late autumn. But you just can't get hot enough water out of the damn thing to do dishes. So I always go and boil a kettle. Now the trouble is, when it's cold, when it's, you know, 5 degrees Celsius, you know, it's a few degrees off freezing or whatever, you can never ever seem to keep that water warm enough. You boil that kettle, it takes 10 minutes to heat the bastard up, you finally pour it in, it's, you know, it is hot, so you put just a little bit of cold in. Within 3 minutes it's fucking cold again. It's like, fuck me, I can never seem to get water hot enough and wash stuff in warm water. Why? Because the room's so damn cold that it just draws the heat out of the water so quickly all the time. It's alright if you're in a house where your kitchen's heated, you know, but I, you know, do my laundry in the bathroom, because that's where my big basin is, so, you know, do laundry in there, but it's just, even with the wood stove in there going, that stove is not to heat the room, it's a stove just to cook. And so it's got brilliant hot plate heat and nothing else, but there's the trouble, like you just lose so much heat. Your water for washing, it's constantly going cold. I also get cold hands when I'm washing clothes because it's all cold water. Oh, why don't you get hot water? Holy smoke, there's a couple more $1,000 gone. I might as well just bloody well wash the clothes in cold water. So I do. Now I've worked out that when the generators run the washing machines, you can also run a blow heater. I'm probably going to change it up. I've got multiple wood heaters that I've built from car propane tanks, and I'm going to grab one of them and install it in there. When I do all the roof, I've got pipes and stuff. I'm going to make a chimney. So I'm going to actually have, you know, a legitimate blooming wood heater in there, which would be good for the winter. You know, there's no shortage of blasted wood around here, let me tell you. There's so much wood, I'm not going to run a gasified vehicle because a lot of it is actually cypress pine. But, well, this is hardwood, but, yeah. I don't need to run a car with a gasifier because that just means I'll be chopping even more frickin' wood. Anyway. It's, as this trucker mentioned, you know, one of the things they never tell you, which I found was interesting, living in a small space, the vehicle ends up stinking like you because instead of your body hair and body oil being either in clothes or in a large house, it's either in clothes or just that truck. And you get the size of that truck with a sleeper cab versus an entire house, the fluff balls build up real quick from your hair. Plus, you know, dust which comes from dead skin cells. And he said even body oil, I noticed because a lot of these trucks got a lot of plastic surfaces with the dashboard and all that. You notice is the body oils that he had just from, you know, putting his hand through his hair or whatever, seems to get on everything. You know, so, of course, I assume you'd be getting out the old spray and wipe, as we call it here, and, you know, cleaning all this stuff off. But he said, trouble with these things being so small is your body smell will diffuse easier in a large building than it will in the actual vehicle. And this is one of the things that I wondered about, and one of the things that I was a little bit concerned about buying an actual people mover is that bloody carpet on the roof, you call it headlining or whatever, is that going to start stinking things up? You know, I've got that van, in case those of you don't know, that's sort of going towards being a camper van. I have I've done quite a number of things on it, including get a tow bar yesterday, but the floor in the back, at least in the back, is all, seats have been pulled out and it's all like a lino, like you know, which is essentially vinyl. Lino flooring in the back. But anyway, it's one of these things, you know, because you're in a small space, the stuff that would, and an enclosed space too, with the doors closed and the windows up, stuff that would just vent out the front door or out the windows or just dissipate in the size of the house. You've got all that same stuff happening in a smaller space, you know, and it's sort of, it all just sort of builds up quicker. But I never sort of, you know, I sort of wondered about that because I've heard there's been a lot of trouble with cooking smells and stuff like that. But yeah, I didn't know how extreme that really was. But yeah, you know, it's like all the glossy photos and all the stuff. Oh, look, they live in a beautiful little circular stone-built cottage, and it's this and it's that, and she's some blonde Barbie, and rah, 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 and oh, it's so cute, and oh, look at this stainless steel wood heater. Fuck me, you know how much it costs to build that shit? Like, just circular buildings alone are an architectural nightmare, you know. Oh, but it's so, oh, look at the snow against the bin. Oh, isn't she a hot, thin little boat? How come she's not put any weight on? It's winter. You know, what? You know, it's one of these things. It's all, you know, and it's all, oh, well, it's just like this and it's just like that. But then there's that ugly face of it all where, you know, you got to play around with the chainsaw for a bit. And I must admit, when you actually work out the cost, you are better off being off-grid. But everything is manual. You know, everything. You know, once a week I'm going to doing the washing, I'm going to set the water pump to refill everything, you know. And this thing here, you know, that's all great. And it is great, you know, it's bloody powerful. It's not it's supposed to be in an area about 6 times the size of this, so it's, you know, a bloody powerful heater, but it's, well, 6 times the size of that bedroom, but it's really made for an open plan living house, that thing, and I've got it in a tiny little bedroom, but it still goes out in the middle of the bloody night sometimes, you know, and I've got to get up, and there's just so many times where I've, you know, haven't had quite enough logs. I've got logs, but they're just not quite big enough, and I used to have this cycle where I'd go through where, you know, you could never seem to get a cypress pine log in there that was big enough to burn all night. Now, you might be able to get a hardwood one in there, but the bastard to be so dense and so big and such a large blob that there wasn't any small little bits to, you know, easily burn and catch onto easily, and the damn thing would end up going out. And you'd open it up, it'd be cold, and this thing would be there, and it'd be just like a big block of charcoal, in a frickin' huge big block of charcoal, damn near the size of a friggin', you know, like a shoebox or something. You're like, fuck. You know, and you realise this thing has burned about 1/3 of itself and then just given up the ghost. It's just too large to hold a low flame on its own as one single piece of wood, you know. And, you know, so many times there I'd end up putting in a smaller one. I'd only sleep for 2 lots of 4 hours because you'd need to get up in the middle of the night, light it up, go back to sleep again. You know, but you can't just, well, bang, you know, I'll just do something for 30 seconds. No, you've got to build it all up again. You know, and it might have gone out completely, and then you've got to start all over again, you know. And then I don't go well in the cold weather because I'm always busting for a piss if it's cold. So you come out to cut more, you know, split a bit of kindling with a tomahawk, and it'll be like, oh, I need a piss. You'd be walking out, and there'd be fucking frost on the ground, and you'd be just trying to have a piss on the front lawn or something just so you could get back inside and get this thing lit, you know. You don't want to be shivering trying to light matches either. That's not a good move. You know, this is why in many ways I'm glad I've got that heated jacket, because people, oh, well, you don't need that, you're only in Australia. Yeah, but we're a country where we handle 100 degrees Celsius like it doesn't mean fucking anything. You know, oh, it's 90 degrees in there. So fucking what? 90 degrees is just warming up to us. But you know, we're no good with, you know, real cold that to Americans isn't cold, but to us is, you know. And you don't want to be blooming. I haven't been really shivering trying to light matches any more than once or twice, but you don't want to be. And that's the sort of the thing, you know. It's and you know, just long drawn out things like, for instance, having a shower. And this is happening now, and it will happen throughout the whole of, you know, throughout the rest of autumn, the whole of winter, and the first part of spring, the first 3, 4, 5 weeks of spring. Probably 4 or 5 weeks of spring, where you don't just go, oh, okay, well, I go and have a shower and that's it. No. You want to have topped up the water, in my case, in my tank, you know, the small one that's actually mounted in the bathroom. You want to have topped up that during the day so it had a chance to warm up from the air temperature during the day. But it doesn't end there, because you've actually got to go and light a wood heater, because, once again, that's a cold room. So, like the bathroom is a cold room. So you light a wood heater so you can come straight out of the shower into your bedroom, still dripping water on the lino, but, you know, thankfully I've got lino, and you're in front of the wood heater to dry off. So what's that mean? Well, it means you've got to get out the newspaper and all that bullshit, and you know, well, I want a shower starts with, oh, bingo, just, no, it's not like that. I want a shower starts with you swinging a tomahawk, splitting up old floorboards. That's how your shower starts. Then you go and light all this stuff, and you're, oh, rightio. So then you go and get some, you know, wood that's, you know, might be about 2 inches diameter. That goes on top of the split plywood. Okay, rightio. Then you get some that's about as thick as your arm, or a little, you know, maybe a little bit thicker, you know, and then, okay, rightio. You put that on top of that. Okay, rightio. Well, question is, will a bigger lump go on? No, it won't. What you can't just go, rightio, I can just get the big, you know, get the big bastard like this that'll last me, you know, good blooming 4 hours or whatever, and just throw that straight on. Why? Because when you throw this on the top, everything compresses like shit and the fire won't light properly. Because your paper's flat, your kindling's as flat as anything, and this thing is completely blocking any updraft because it's bloody 8 inches wide or whatever. It's just, you know, it's the way it is, you know. You need stuff that's more like that, you know, to get going. You know, or even stuff sort of like that cut in half, you know, to get yourself going. Followed by one about as thick as your arm, and then you'll be right. But you can't just go, well, I'm going to stick on every bit of wood I need for the whole of tonight on this, you know, put in some thumping big bit that's going to bring me through the rest of it. No, it won't. So you're going to light this thing, but the trouble is you're going to have a shower for maybe 7 minutes, but you're going to be, you know, it's going to be 10 or 11 minutes before you're back to that fire again. So if you only put on a few little bits that are like that, the bloody thing will be out in 5 minutes. By the time you come out of the shower, it'll be gone. The fire will be out. So what you've got to actually do is light it up, let it burn down some of those small bits, then whack on a bit that's as big as your arm, or maybe twice as big as your arm, and then you're right to go. But if you just do a little bit of kindling, and a bit of stuff like that, you know what's going to happen? It's going to be bloody out. Because it won't even burn long enough until you're out of the shower. You know, so it's all, there's a lot of sort of pre-planning and slow, manual, boring bullshit that is the real part of off-grid life. And, you know, it's just, it is what it is, you know. Now, at least with off-grid life, you don't have another problem they have with RV life, where you bloody, you know, your stove's here and your shit is right there. And this particular truck driver keeps bringing this up, but it seems to fall on deaf ears. And it's a basic old concept of the same reason that back in the day, your toilet used to be further away from your house versus inside. And it's really a disease control thing. As he said, you don't want to eat here and be shitting there. Because if you're eating here and you're shitting there, it's too close. And it is too close. It's disease transfer. I learned about this stuff when I was in the piggery. It's not unknown, all these sorts of things for a lot of farming related stuff, that, you know, you can't be shitting in one area and eating right beside it because of cross-contamination. You might have even seen this with Gordon Ramsay, where he has these things about separating raw meat from cooked meat on different levels inside a fridge. You know, and one's got to go above the other, boom, 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 boom. You can't have the raw meat dripping onto the friggin' cook, you know. You've got to put Glad wrap on every damn thing. You can't just have it openly. You've got to actually put Glad wrap over the top of all your trays. And it's all this stuff about cross-contamination to stop food poisoning. And all that applies, but it's a little bit dodgy when you're trying to do it in a small area, because your stove will be here and your shitter is literally frickin' a foot away. You know, and it's just, oh man, And then to do dishes, to keep everything perfectly clean, either you're going to sit there, wipe and spray and wipe over everything twice a day, or you're going to be washing every single pot and every single plate after you use it. There goes half your day. You know, it just becomes tedious trying to keep a higher level of hygiene in a van than you otherwise would in a house, because of you're shitting, you're eating, and you're sleeping in an area that is smaller than this bloody veranda. You know, it's all in the space of a few square meters. You're shitting, you're cooking, you're eating, and you're sleeping. You know, and my gosh, and add to that a bit of carpet on the floor or on the ceiling. Woo, man, things are really going well now. You know, between the cooking odours and the shitting odours, I don't even know if you could get much sleep done if it got too bad, you know. Which, if things do get bad, I'll rip the frickin' roof lining straight out of that damn van. But I think it's different in a way. It's a sort of a synthetic. I know the carpet's synthetic as hell, but I don't know what the roof lining, if it's going to absorb any smells or anything like that. But one of the things I gather is that if you don't actually cook food, or you thermos cook food where it's inside an actual, like one of these thermos containers, or one of these, like a dream pot, which is one of these pots that you put stuff in, you get it up to temperature, and then you just shut it all down and put it in this insulated case. You know, you're not going to have many food smells. If you're only just boiling water, you're not going to have many food smells in there. But yeah, it's one of these things also with RVs, breakdowns. No one wants to mention this, but people who do live full-time will tell you, you absolutely need to have backup money, because if that vehicle's got to spend, well, you know, well, they only need to fix it in one day. Oh, fucking bullshit. Doesn't work like that. They've got to first get in there, see what's wrong with it. They establish this is wrong with it. So they order part this, and this, which needs to come 3 days from Sydney, to then find out they got the fucking model wrong, or they sent the wrong type part, or this part isn't for this engine, it's for the other engine that was an option with the van, or this is the one for the boom boom, not that one, you know. Fucking hell. Heaven forbid you're as daft as fucking GM is over here is. You know, they've got a tiny little, like a miniature SUV, daggy looking little thing called the Cruise, and then they got what you know as the Chevy Cruise as the Cruise. So you got to work out as the CRUZ or the CRUISE, you know, because they're sort of a few years apart, thankfully. But a Holden Cruise and a Holden Cruise can be two completely different fucking vehicles. And I mean really different vehicles. It's more like a Holden Trax, but the early version with the old CRUZ, you know, just to throw another spanner in. And this is the thing. So, 1 day of fixing or 8 hours of labour means, you know, 3 hours to define the problem, 5 hours to fix it. But then, and it might not be that long. It might only be 3 or 4 hours labour, but then it's still 3 days wait for the bloody part, and you hope to bloody hell they've got the right part. So what's that mean? Well, you break down 1 day, so now you've got to spend the night in there. The next day, you go to book it in, and they say, well, we've got no spot for another 2 days. So then 2 days, so you dump it in the yard anyway, after you pay a tow truck to dump it there. So you break down Monday. Tuesday, you go and see them about it. They say we can't start work till Thursday, but on Tuesday you get the tow truck driver to dump it in there, in the yard, rightio. So then they go and have a look at it Friday. They determine what the problem is Friday. And, well then, they make the order, but by the time they make the fucking order, it's already bloody Friday, 3 o'clock, and the chick that's in the office is, you know, basically left. So it's Monday before the order actually gets processed through the computer. And then, well, you've got to wait till Thursday before it comes from Sydney. And then that Thursday afternoon, Friday morning they install. By Friday night, you're back in your vehicle. And how long ago was that? Oh, not the Monday gone, but the Monday before. You just waited 2 weeks to get your fucking van fixed, bro. Okay, not a full 2 weeks. It was 2 bunches of weekdays and 1 weekend, but, you know, let's face it, what have we got there? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Hey, you know, 5. Yeah, that's 12 days there, not 13. 12 days before you're back in your bed. So I hope you like living in Fleabag Motel with all the junkies wandering around for 12 days after already paying $500 for a tow truck. And how much are you going to pay to fix this van? You know, it's doable. But this is the thing, you know, unless you've got somewhere to crash your bones in that, or park your bones, as my grandfather used to call it, in that place, unless you've got an ability to stay at someone's house, you're paying through the nose to fix it. And it's not, well, what's the cheapest I can do this for? No, it's just like, I've got to just pay whatever these guys say, because I can't have this sitting in my garage at my house and work it out in 3 weeks' time like I can with my van. No, because my van is just parked out in front of my property there. Hey, it doesn't matter when I get to it, does it? Not that it's not working or anything, but this is the thing. When you are indeed sat there with a vehicle and this guy looks in the back and says, oh, he's got a bed, and oh, I can see his fridge, and oh, he lives in here. And he decides to jack the price up another few hundred, $300, $500 extra. What can you do? You can't do a fucking thing, because he knows that he's basically got your home hostage until he gets his money for fixing it. And if he wants to fuck you over, he can. And there's nothing you can do about it, because what other option have you got? You're interstate, you don't know anyone locally, you're paying for a hotel, and you've got to accept the price that this mechanic gives you, because you can't just sit there and work it out and fix it. And now some people can. I know of a guy who went on holidays, his car broke down, he stayed in a fucking backpackers. He actually paid $30 to rent a tool off a mechanic, and he put a new axle in the fucking street. This is one of my uncle's friends. They are crazy good mechanically. It was an axle replacement. Yeah, like a full-on axle replacement, right in the fucking street, with tools that he didn't have while he's on holidays, trying to work on this thing every day while he had to wait for parts to be sent here. Fuck me. Thank God he was in a backpackers hostel where he was paying peanuts to fucking stay there. You know, it was only like $25 a night or something like this, but most people can't do it. And the interesting thing you'll notice about these van dwellers, most of them couldn't even point out the fucking dipstick on their van. They are the most mechanically, like that guy, the off-grid blah blah, who paid as much again as he paid for his van just for the injectors to be redone on them, you know, for new injectors on that diesel van. Most of them are the most stupid mechanical people you will ever meet outside of a Mercedes-Benz driving lawyer. Really. They couldn't change a fucking light bulb. And these guys are living in a van. Why would you live in a van if you can't even change a fucking light bulb, let alone change the oil? You got to go to a mechanic's to change a starter motor, to change brake pads. Some of them have the brains to know how to fucking change the oil, but some of them don't know how to change the fucking oil. They just, you know, and yet they're living their whole dependency's existence on this thing, and they don't even know how to change the fucking oil. What the fuck is this, you know? My God. It's like not even knowing how to fucking buy food at the supermarket or something. It's fucking ridiculous. I just can't understand that side of RV living, you know. It's like, it really is like not knowing how to buy food at a supermarket. You know, it's like permanently settling in France and you can't even speak English properly, let alone French. Why would you do it, you know? Like, it's mind-boggling. Well, you might do it if the government had offered you free public housing and you know, all the ass-kissing that some certain group of people are getting, who are getting shunned by the locals. But anyway, won't go there. Anyway, it's just my little thoughts on the whole situation about RV life and off-grid life, and the not so glorious fantasies that they like to pump and pimp about off-grid life, when, you know, I made a video once years ago. I seen this girl on the train, and I was sitting on this side, like the seats are facing each other. There's like 3 seats, my side, 3 seats, her side. She's sitting there with a friend. Oh, it'd be great if I was, you know, off-grid. I'd be out there in the bush, out there with my little shower and this and that. I'd lived off-grid for about 2 or 3 years at a time. And I'll tell you what, I was holding my tongue back, but I should have said something. And I really probably should have said something. Her dad was some professor who was on TV, and she's mentioning that he'd been interviewed on television, and you know, very rich background. Her dad was obviously white, her mum was obviously Asian or something like that. She looks sort of Asian, and oh, I'd be so good. I'd be out there in the bush with me little shower, and I felt like saying, "Fuck off! You wouldn't last 3 fucking days. Why don't you come and live with me for 3 days? Because I know you won't last." You know, it's just a fantasy. It was just, I was almost fucking laughing, and I should have just told her, look, I actually, never mind this fucking bullshit, I actually live off-grid, and I know what it's like. 100% off-grid, you know. I don't know what it's like. You know, even all these videos are blasting out of a 4G connection across the airwaves, you know. Anyway, it's my little rant on that.